Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.
Welcome to today's Talk Business Arkansas update. It was a big day at the state capitol and in Arkansas for business leaders. Governor Mike Beebe announcing a $1.1 billion steel mill super project to be located in Osceola, Arkansas. Will employ 525 workers initially. It's led by longtime steel executive John Correnti. Here's some of the details. Average wages at the plant will be $75,000, almost double the state's per capita income. There will be up to 2,000 construction jobs during the building process. At least $200 million of the plant's billion-dollar price tag will be spent with in-state contractors. The mill is expected to add suppliers and customers to the region. Now, the super project will kick in Amendment 82, the state's super project amendment. I'll have details about how that works and what some of the incentives were involved in getting this project to locate right after this word from our sponsors.
Well, I don't think it's going to be an easy conversation because they are very strong-willed. I think it's going to be important to us that we know that you're somewhere in a facility that looks after you, has compassion, has care, and you respect it. I mean, I'd love to look after them, I'd love to be able to take care of them, but I don't think I could. That'd be a wrong choice on my part.
Arkansas's skilled nursing and assisted living centers provide quality care for our seniors.
Farm Bureau helps protect its members in more ways than you might think. They've always been the voice of agriculture in Arkansas, working on behalf of folks like me when nobody else would. And Farm Bureau stands for the values that Arkansas families care about. They've protected my right to farm and make a living, which helps everybody who likes food on the table. You know what they say, Arkansas counts on agriculture, and agriculture counts on Farm Bureau.
The Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas. The State Chamber AIA is the leading voice for business at the state capitol and serves as the primary business advocate on all issues affecting Arkansas employers. Our mission is to promote a pro-business, free enterprise agenda and prevent anti-business legislation, regulations, and rules. Now more than ever, business matters. Learn more at arkansasstatechamber.com.
The Big River Steel Mill announcement is certainly good news for Arkansas, particularly northeast Arkansas, up in that region of the Delta that is desperately in need of jobs. The project will kick in Amendment 82, the state's super project amendment. So how do some of those details work, and what will some of the incentives be that the state had to offer to help locate this facility here? Amendment 82 allows the state to issue general obligation bonds for major industrial projects, and Beebe said today that he expects to ask for about a $125 million bond issue to be spent as follows. $50 million will be a loan to Big River Steel. They'll pay that back. $50 million for site preparation. $20 million for subsurface stabilization near the Mississippi River. And $5 million will be paid in bond issuance costs as part of the deal. Of course, you can read all about the super project that came to Arkansas today on our website at talkbusinessarkansas.com. We also have a profile with some background information on just who John Correnti is. He's the steel industry executive behind this Big River Steel Mill project. That's talkbusinessarkansas.com. When we come back from this word from our sponsors, we'll play you parts of the press conference on the big announcement. I'm Roby Brock. This is Talk Business.
Noble Strategies is a bipartisan state and federal government affairs firm with a successful track record of providing effective advocacy for business, government, and nonprofit entities. Noble Strategies provides service in areas such as lobbying, public affairs, trade association management, and marketing campaigns. Learn more at noblestrat.com.
I was looking for a bank that could best protect my finances.
That shared my passion for my business's potential.
A bank that offered investment expertise.
Lending support.
insurance guidance.
A bank that delivered full financial support.
That's how I found True Balance.
True Balance.
From my bank.
From my bank.
Delta Trust and Bank, the expertise to meet all your financial needs.
One of the real advantages of electric cooperatives membership is having a voice in our state's energy future.
Not a week goes by without important energy issues making headlines. These are issues that need to be discussed. And you should know that as policies are being developed, the cooperatives are looking out for our members, advocating what's best for you.
We are your friends and neighbors.
We are your local electric company.
The electric cooperatives.
We are Arkansas.
Here's a big portion of today's press conference on the Big River Steel Mill $1.1 billion super project, along with some of the Q&A.
Thank you all for coming. There's been a lot of speculation, partially driven by me, over the course of the last several weeks about a fairly large economic development announcement. Why don't you come on in and shut the door, please? Come in and shut the door. Davey and Michael, I need to talk to you all about getting a bigger conference. This announcement concerns the first Amendment 82 project in the history of Arkansas. I think all of you know, and you've gotten tired of hearing me say it over the course of the last 6+ years, that I believe the cornerstone of what this administration is about and public policy really centers on two cornerstones of education and economic development. And so the economic development aspect of it, in terms of creating the kind of jobs that allow our people to enjoy a good quality of life, is something that we work on constantly and consistently. And this is another example of what some of that work actually results in. This is going to be a steel mill located in Osceola, Arkansas, which incidentally, along with the other steel mills that exist in Mississippi County, makes it the second largest steel producing county in America. And there's some information, although I will do a caveat on this and tell you this is not verified. We have some preliminary information. It may be the largest single congressional district of steel mills in America. Whether that's true or not, we know that the other is. It is a $1.1 billion investment. It is 525 direct immediate jobs with an average salary of $75,000 apiece. In addition to those 525 jobs, there will be temporary jobs in the neighborhood of 2,000 during the construction process. There are about 2,000 construction jobs that will be generated. Obviously, those won't be permanent because once the construction's completed, but a lot of those folks in construction may end up being some of the same people that end up being part of that regular workforce. Hello, Mr. Attorney General. You ought to come on up here too.
I'm right here.
All right. But in addition to the 525 jobs, in addition to the construction jobs, approximately 2,000 construction jobs, the track record has been, although this isn't being held out as a promise, but the track record has been that there's a real likelihood and a strong expectation of other company locations proximate to this, not approximate, but proximate to this, of both suppliers and customers. And so it's a pretty big deal, to put it in the vernacular of my son. It's a pretty big deal. And it will require the process, and the process in Amendment 82 is that the preliminary agreement has been reached. It's not been put in final ratification form. There's still a couple I's dotting and T crossing that has to be done. And that will be done and then presented as an unratified agreement to the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate. And under Amendment 82, then the legislature does their due diligence. They have 20 days to do their due diligence to ensure that they are happy, satisfied with the provisions. And then once that's done, it'll be put in bill form and the legislature will have to pass it. There will be a $125 million bond issue that will be comprised of a $50 million loan, which is paid back, and then $50 million in a grant, and then there's a $20 million component for some pilings and infrastructure that is the max the state is eligible, or is required to do. Maybe less than that 20 million, depending on what those pilings actually cost. If it's more than that's shared equally with the company. If it's more than a $40 million total, the company pays for anything over that. So the state's liability in that regard is a max of 20. There are the normal performance incentives applicable to a steel mill, akin to what was done with Nucor a number of years ago. And there are two other sets of folks here that have to be, I think, specifically noted. One is Burlington Northern, who are here and providing some extensive infrastructure and rail service, and incidentally putting a lot of their own money into this, which is always a good sign. And then the reliability of the electric needs. You can't say enough about energy and what they've done to work with this company, because it's a huge consumer of electricity. A steel mill is a huge consumer of electricity. And the reliability factor on that is so significant that that is a major decision maker whenever you talk about something of this fashion. I'm sure I've probably left out some things, but there are a lot of folks that can fill in some blanks. Let me introduce the mover and shaker and the boss in all this process. He's not a stranger to Kansas with his background, but let me introduce John Corinne.
Thank you, Governor, and I'm not going to repeat all the data, but this is sort of like deja vu for me. I was reminiscing back in 1985, but we did it then on the front steps of the Capitol rather than inside, so it's a little more comfortable in here. But hey, let me reiterate a little bit of what the Governor said. There's a lot of people to thank here, guys. You don't put together a $1.1 billion project with a lot of people doing a lot of heavy lifting and doing a lot of work to make this day happen. You know, obviously the Governor and his staff, but you know, AIDC. I've done this for 35 years, and Grant Tennille and his staff aren't one of the best. They are the best economic development that I've ever had the privilege to work with. You know, I mean, he puts the killer bees on me. You know, Brian, Becky, and Brantley, and you know, they don't take no for an answer. But I'll tell you something about AIDC. Every part of the negotiations, he's put the citizens of Arkansas first, second, and third. Thank you for your work. And you're going to hear from the dog with a bone, for a better expression, behind me, Mayor Dickie Kennemore up in Osceola. I mean, he just would not let go. And, he may not mind losing once, but he isn't going to lose twice, Mayor. As the Governor said, Entergy with their reliable power, and this site, if you go see it, it's steel mill heaven. On the east side of the property, you've got Big Muddy, Big River, Mississippi River. On the west side of the property, You've got the BN Railroad, Class 1 Railroad, take our product all over the country and bring our scrap metal in from all over the country. Adjacent to them, you got Entergy again with reliability, a 500 kV line sitting directly on the property. And then 3 miles to the west, you got I-55. So what I'm trying to point out from a logistics standpoint, it's great. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Judge Randy Carney and Cliff Chitwood, the Mississippi County Economic Development folks. They've done their job. The governor introduced James O'Donnelly from the BN Railroad, Arkansas Capital, Mr. Sam, you know, providing some certain structural financing for us. But most importantly, the reason we're coming to Arkansas is because of the can-do attitude of the governmental agencies, plus the Arkansas farm boys and farm girls, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that with all due respect and admiration and everything else. And I've seen it happen 28 years ago. You give those farm boys the right tools, the right equipment, you train them properly, you keep management the heck out of their way, and Katie bar the door. The governor will be calling me a liar because they're not making $75,000. They'll be pushing $100,000. I've seen it happen again and again and again. This thing is going to be done with about $300 million of equity and about $700 million of debt financing. The other critical thing, hopefully, will be in the ground by the end of the year. You know, we've got some regulatory approvals to go through. Obviously, Amendment 82 we have to go through, and then the county and the city have to do a little bit of their little bit of their homework up there. But once we start, I can tell you the last one I did about 5 years ago. The day we started construction, the sales tax receipts in that particular county went up 17.2%. I mean, it's amazing what 2,000 construction workers do. They eat a lot and they drink a lot of beer, so it's great for everything. I'm delighted to be back in Arkansas. Really, I never left. I mean, I see some friends from the scrap industry here. You know, the Ronells, the Tenenbaum, and the Altmans. It's a red letter day for them too, and we're glad to be here. So thank you very much, Helen. Yes. Grant said it, and guys, I didn't come up with this. You know, we said we were working this under a thing called rebel steel. And I didn't like the connotations of rebel steel, so I told everybody, the state, the county, our investors, come on, let's come up with a great name. And the great name, it's going to be Big River LLC. So thanks, Grant. Thank you.
Now the mayor of Osceola, Dickie Kenmore.
As John said, we have a super site, and he had looked at it before and actually selected it, and through, I won't go into the reason, but through no fault of his or ours, it didn't work, and he went elsewhere and carried a super project elsewhere. We've had 4 super projects look at us, and we've been the bridesmaid, not the bride, but this time we won the prize. This dog has got the bone, as John says. And I would have to say, and I mean this sincerely, as this project has moved along, and we've been disappointed, Cliff and I have been disappointed so many times, and the people of Osceola, that I have prayed that this project will come together, this group will come together, and it will be successful. So I have to thank God for bringing this team together and for giving us this super site, because He has blessed us, and it is not just an economic event. I hope and pray that the investors and the owners make big money, but also what it's going to do, it's a social event. It is an event that's going to bring a struggling Delta County out of the doldrums, and it allows hardworking people like John referred to, these guys that come off of the farms, they'll be able to educate their kids send their kids to college, feed their kids, and have a quality of life and a self-esteem that they've never had before. So it is such a great event. And I have to thank the governor for sticking with us. We talked to him early, and he said, I'm in for the duration. And for John, for, you know, somebody in the governor's office referred to him as Andrew Carnegie, which he is Andrew Carnegie in Mississippi County, but from now on we're going to call him Godfather. So, John, thank you so much for all you've done for Mississippi County, both originally in '85 and what you're about to do there. You have helped so many of our people, and I'm so grateful, and it is just such a great thing. I can't put it in words. So, with that, I'll just say thanks to the whole team. Thank you, guys.
Mississippi County Judge Randy Carney.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. How about that John Corrigan, my new best friend? We first started looking at this project almost 2 years ago, and my response was, wow. Today, my response is, wow. 2 years from now, my response is going to be, wow. And 25 years from now, my response is going to be, wow. We got that? Big River. Big River. You know, that's what happens when intelligent, successful, aggressive businessmen come together with an aggressive town with strong local leadership. We may be a small town in a small county in a small state, but we don't act like it sometimes. We think big and we act big, and we have a big government. Between the investors of Big River and what we have to offer with our people, our strong local leadership, and the best economic developer in the business in Cliff Chipwood, what we have is a model of a successful partnership. Mississippi County, Arkansas is a progressive place, and this is an exciting time. And I invite you to come join us, come grow with us. Thank you.
They're not going to talk, mainly because they don't want to, but I'd be remiss if I didn't echo what John indicated about Grant Neals and the entire AEDC team. The nuts and bolts of all this. You know, I described my time in the Senate with a lot of the reporters that are mostly gone now, although there's a few that are still around, as being a traffic cop. I didn't introduce a lot of bills. I ended up more often than not guiding stuff in different directions. And frankly, that's my role as a governor. I can't know and can't spend countless hours doing the detail work necessary to bring any project to fruition. That's done by dedicated professionals, dedicated men and women at the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. They are extraordinarily talented, extraordinarily hardworking. Grant gets a lot of the credit as their leader, but he'd be the first to tell you that he is surrounded by enormously talented and dedicated staff that do all this work. You've heard about the 3 Bs, and the 3 Bs would tell you that it's even more than them. It's countless folks that do all this hard work. And so I just want to publicly thank Grant and his entire staff and that entire agency for making Arkansas competitive in so many ways and presenting that professional front that even when we lose, even when we are unsuccessful with sister states or sometimes other countries, we constantly get the feedback from principals and business leaders that we deal with that they are extraordinarily impressed with the professional way our AEDC staff goes about their business. So Grant, thank you, and thank you to all of you. That staff is guided by a commission of leaders across the state, primarily business leaders across the state, who form that commission and who do this for no money other than trying to build a better Arkansas. And so for all of the commissioners that are here, thank you for your service. Thank you for caring about what happens to our state and to our people. And I'm also advised that the Speaker and the President of the Senate, President of the Senate, neither one want to make a statement. I'm going to give them another opportunity if they want to. But you know, they have that that heavy responsibility now of picking up the axe in hewing down whatever trees are in the way going forward, and doing their own due diligence and ensuring that every I is dotted and that they and that their colleagues are satisfied with where we are, which is part of the whole Amendment 82 process. Grant, you got somebody else you want me to talk about up here?
No, I think we're ready for questions.
All right. Questions, comments?
How confident are you in that process that it'll come out with this deal?
Well, we wouldn't. I'm real confident. Having said that, obviously, it's not done. It's not done for a lot of reasons. You've got regulatory issues that you've got to go through, as has been pointed out. You've got the legislative oversight that has to be conducted. You've got final touches on the agreement that has to be done. But Amendment 82, by its very nature, doesn't let us do what we do in a lot of announcements, and that's come to you and say it's already done. Amendment 82 has a process that's required, so you have to come publicly and discuss all of these issues even before it's done. So that's kind of where we are. But we wouldn't have gotten this far and wouldn't have started this process publicly the way we're starting it if there wasn't a significant degree of confidence that it will be completed.
If all goes as well as you hope, when will construction begin and when will the plant?
John, when will construction begin?
Construction will begin before the end of the year. If everything goes our way, it could be as soon as August the 1st. If other things have to be finished, it could be in September, October, November. And it'll take about 20 months of construction to build a plant until we're melting, if you will, our first test.
And with those 2,000, it'll start off slow and then build all the way up to 2,000 and then go back down as the construction winds up.
Gentlemen, assuming this gets up and running, give us an idea of what kind of difference you expect this project will make to the Arkansas economy.
Well, John had a lot to do with Nucor. In fact, he did Nucor. That's what he was referencing about trying to be back home. I think you can see what Nucor's done. They are a great Arkansas company, or two of them up there actually. They're great Arkansas companies that have turned a segment or an area of the state around. Mississippi County has cut their unemployment in half. Where's Cliff? What have you done percentage-wise since Nucor's been there and the allied industries that came with it in terms of cutting your unemployment? Cut it in half. This is this could do exactly that same thing again and then some. So what do I expect? Well, here's what I expect. I expect there will be people who might not have had hope to share in the American dream. It will now have hope to do that. I expect there will be people that thought they had to move to Dallas or Los Angeles or somewhere to get a high-paying job in a manufacturing sector that won't have to do that anymore. I expect there will be parents and grandparents who will be able to see their children and their grandchildren stay locally and have the kind of income that some of them never could have dreamed of. Now, this amount of money that I gave you is conservative. And let's face it, it's comparable. It's a steel mill. It's comparable to what's going on in Nucor. It's a different product. There's very little overlap in terms of what they're doing versus the steel that's being produced in Nucor for different purposes. So there's some overlap, but there's relatively little overlap. And what it's done for those folks up there, they're making more than $75,000. I under-promised that figure. You heard John say he'd be shocked if they weren't making $100,000. I'd rather tell you it's 75 because that's what the low-end figure is going to be. But if you'll just look at what's happening in Nucor, most of those folks are making close to 100, aren't they, John? I'm talking about the folks in the factory. I'm not talking about the people, the engineers in some office somewhere. I'm talking about the people on the floor. That's hard work. There's no question about it. It's hot, it's dusty, and it's not easy work. But you know, you're looking at what, a $36,000 average income in Arkansas? That's the average. So 30, 36, 38, 38, close to 40. We're getting better. This will make it even better. So I think it changes the city. I think as the mayor said, I think it changes the city, and I think it changes the county. I think it changes the region, and it's one more step in what's already been started up there. I brag on Nucor all the time. Now I'm going to get to brag on more than Nucor.
Mr. Carenti, can you talk a little bit more about the different markets that you
Sure. This is going to produce flat row steel. Those big 24-ton coils you see going on a flatbed truck down the road. Our friends down here in Maverick, for instance, a great trucking company, ship. And what the end consumers will be, this is going to make electrical steels about 30% of the product line. Electrical steel is what goes into transformers and what goes into electrical motors. You know, we all may be driving golf carts in a few more years, but you know, so it's a great market. And the only competitors in the U.S. is there's one company in Ohio that produces that steel, and another company up in outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that produces that steel. And it's high-value steel. I can tell you who the customers are off the top of my hand: Siemens, ABB, Beldor, Emerson Electric, Temple Steel, people like that. It'll also make pipe and tube. And this mill is going to be a very wide mill, 76 inches wide. You know, for instance, you might see your good company here, Wellspun. A lot of their steel comes in offshore. You know, well, guess what? It doesn't have to come up the Mississippi and up the Arkansas anymore. It's going to go down the Mississippi and up the Arkansas, hopefully to Little Rock for people like that. So, for instance, I watch the rig count in the Wall Street Journal. When it's above 800, I'm smiling ear to ear because they're shoving pipe, whether it's gas pipe, oil pipe, et cetera, down into the ground. And then the other steel it's going to make is something called a low alloy high strength, and that is skins of the automobiles. They constantly want stronger steels, but they want it lighter, and lighter. So it's a good marketplace. And here we are. Hey, you know, Arkansas is where it is, boys. Flat dab in the middle of the United States. And I was telling the governor that, you know, if you ever go to Germany and you see the Rhine River, you wouldn't be able to see the Mississippi because there'd be industry on both the west bank and the east bank of the Mississippi. You know, I mean, it's a transportation artery. You know, as I said, it was a good place to come 28 years ago, and it's an even better place today to put an operation like this.
Are you going to live here?
Absolutely. The headquarters of the company is going to be in Osceola, Arkansas. I do live here. I've lived other places, but I've never left. Blytheville, Arkansas. And the other thing I want to mention: those 525 jobs. We'll probably bring about 20 or maybe 25 people in from the outside who will be moving in. A boom for the real estate agents in that area. The other 500 jobs will be 100 miles, 150-mile radius of Osceola, Arkansas. You know, and the other boom in this is, you know, the first thing a young man and young woman does when they're making that kind of money is, you know what they do? The auto dealerships and the truck dealerships are there. I have a smile on my face. I don't even have to go into a steel mill to tell you how well it's doing. I just drive through the parking lot and see how many new pickup trucks I see. Gives you the answer right there. And people say to me all the time, and I don't want to get lengthy here, but Carenti, are you crazy? How can you pay people $75,000 or $100,000? Folks, I can't afford to pay people $20,000. I want money-hungry young men and young women who don't mind working hard from sunup to sunset, just like they did for their grandfathers or their uncles or their dads on the farm during planting season and during harvest season. And you just give me, what I'm looking for is work aptitude. You just give me that same kind of work that you gave to your family, and you know, we'll give you the tools, the equipment, and the training to make that kind of. It's not a giveaway program, you know. It's for the stout. Believe me, if you've ever been in a steel mill. But hey, that's Arkansas for you. Can do. Don't take no for an answer and get it done. And I'm telling you, my only regret is, you know, I wish we had this governor around for a few more years. So maybe we can change the term. One last question.
Have you looked at the total cost to the state if you're factoring in the interest charges on the bonds?
Yeah, we think it's good. Well, I can't give you that number, but yes, that's all been factored in. And it depends. It depends on. Well, I'm not going to be able to give you that. They'll have to give you all that. It's obviously a good deal for us, or we wouldn't be doing it. The interest on the bonds will depend on a couple things. When they're sold, what's the interest rate? Right now, it's pretty favorable. But secondly, when they're paid back, they get a discount if they pay it back early. They got 5 years, I guess. Or if they pay it back the first 4 years, they get a discount. If they don't, then they're taking over some of these interest payments. So Grant will get with you with regard to all those specifics. Thank y'all.
And we'll be covering lots more on this super project in the weeks and months to come. You can check out all of that coverage at talkbusinessarkansas.com. I'm Roby Brock. Thanks for tuning in to this Talk Business Arkansas update. We'll see you next time.
Talk Business Arkansas is brought to you by the Arkansas Farm Bureau, the Arkansas State Chamber of Commerce and Associated Industries of Arkansas, the Electric Cooperatives of Arkansas, Noble Strategies, the Arkansas Healthcare Association, and Delta Trust and Bank.